Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Family Law Assistance. I am joined, I am joined by the incredibly, insanely talented, determined, passionate Jodie Dennison, who's joined Family Law Assistance. Woo, 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 woo.
Hello.
Jodie, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem.
It's been a journey, hasn't it?
Yes, hasn't it just? It really has. I think even now, down to the barking in the background, that's how my training started. Dogs barking and kids screaming, and we're still here now.
With the dog barking.
Yeah.
So, guys, in case you don't know, and you do, you may have seen Jodie's name popping up everywhere. So, Jodie recently went to and killed it at the Royal Courts of Justice in COVID, where there was nobody around, wandering around the halls of Hogwarts. Hashtag if you know, you know. To achieve an incredible result. But, I'm going to take us back. We're going to rewind a little bit and take us right back, way back. Jodie, I want to know and tell everybody, how the hell did you get into this?
Oh, so I started my law degree last year, so I'm a year in, and I went into it thinking I always wanted to do criminal law. I wanted to be a criminal lawyer. I wanted to be in the police stations. I wanted to be in court. I watched Suits, and that was the nail in the coffin for me. Why wouldn't it be? Obviously, I thought that Harvey Specter was going to be my boss. Reality kicked in. Doesn't work like that. But no, seriously, when I did my first year, even though I knew I don't have to decide what I want to do now, I very quickly realised that criminal law was not going to be for me. I just can't be that person that can defend certain cases. And when you start learning about human rights and the fact that you can't turn a case away, I think it takes a very special someone to do crime. And my other interest was property. But my passion and something I've got extensive experience in is family law. And as I was researching stuff, I came across several companies that would help you become to be able to assist, and then I came across you, and that was it. History started. So yeah, family law was more because I've experienced it. I've lived it, I've walked it, I've breathed it. There's not much that people can come and tell me that I haven't experienced, or someone within my immediate hasn't experienced, or isn't experiencing, or is now. It's just everywhere. And I think my background, where people can talk to me, a lot of people come to me and ask me, and always have asked me for advice. What would you do in this situation? So it all just made sense. It literally fell into place.
So let's just talk about you for a sec, okay? Because, you know, people get into this because they've lived it, they've breathed it, they've walked that path themselves. Yeah. For you personally, what did you go through?
So I was with my children's dad for a long time. We were together about 14 years, and sadly, things went a little bit the wrong way. It became very, very toxic. A lot went on behind closed doors, things that sort of don't need to be brought up now, but they happened. And you know, I found myself having to get non-molestation orders, and it going not very nice. And I just didn't know where to turn. The internet 10 years ago wasn't what it is now. And even that was the biggest thing. I was on my own, I was scared, and I didn't know where to go. So family law, this side of it, knowing that you can support people without that's been there, that's the biggest thing here, because that was that. Then I that all went and everything sorted there. And then I met another guy. And we were married very quickly after a year, and he had 2 children, and we had 50-50, and we had shared residency, and his ex was an alcoholic, it was everything that the textbook of family law, let's say. And we dealt with CAFCAS and courts and this and that, and the experience is always there. Even though I didn't have to go into the court or anything, when you're living it, you'll experience it better than any reading material. You know, I could study family law, just that, a degree for 6 years, but it's nothing compared to when you've walked that path. Then I got divorced, so I went through that as well. So yeah, there's not many. Had a financial order slapped on me, even though he had nothing. That was fun. But yeah, you tell me. I've done it. I've kind of lived it. So yeah.
What, in your opinion and in your experience, because one of the things that a lot of people say to us is the difference between what we do and what a solicitor does. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you've experienced that. It's an age-old question, and you know it's controversial. It can be controversial. So in your experience, I mean, people have heard me blather on about this for like forever,
Yeah.
but in your experience, what have you found the difference to be?
Honestly, up till now, nothing. There's nothing. I've I've gone over cases that have come straight out of solicitors' offices, and they've been passed down to me to go through because have got more expertise than a solicitor in a firm who's covering several types of law. I honestly don't feel like, the only difference is that I can't speak without the judge telling me to, but actually so far, and I've only my main experience, even with remote, they're still letting you speak. So I have to be honest, no difference. That's my honest opinion.
One of the things that a lot of people say is that, and you said it beautifully, is that arm around the shoulder, that hand holding, that look, we got you, you know, we're here. And that tends to be something that sets us apart from what
that was my next thing. I was going to say, the only other thing I will say is that I know that I offer to all of my clients is an open phone or an open door. Listen, don't worry about this. I've got your back. A little bit of coaching, I suppose. Whereas you find if you're going through the role of a solicitor, you're just another number.
Yeah.
They don't have the emotional attachment to what's happening because they haven't lived it. And I think that you can feel that 100%. You know, especially the other day when we was in London, you know, a lot of that was keeping my poor lady calm. Stay calm, we've got this, don't worry about it, no matter what, you're okay. And you're not always going to get that because it can be very cutthroat, I think, from anything that's regulated. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And let's be honest.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, I mean, that case was done quick as, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was out just after lunch. Yeah, I wasn't messing around. There was no messing. My feet were sore. I walked miles and I had enough, and I wasn't leaving without what I wanted.
It's a huge building, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful though.
I know. I mean,
Beautiful building.
I think when people have never been to, I mean, it's funny when people go to court, you know, that's Hogwarts. When people think court, they go, oh, mahogany cloisters.
Yes, not there. It's just beautiful. Oh, beautiful building.
Yeah. But you did a lot of traipsing around that day, didn't you?
I did. I saw every single corner. Every corner. And it got to the stage in the end where I was like, well, I haven't seen this bit, so I might as well just go and look now.
I know it seems hard to believe, Jodie, but there was a life before family law for you.
Yeah.
What were you doing? What are you doing? Because you still do that now.
So I had my own beauty business for 20 years, hair and beauty. So I think this is where my coaching skills come into this job. I have always loved my job, but I just feel like it's time. I will never give up my clients. My clients I've had for 10 years, a lot of them, but it's just time to go somewhere else. And the thing was, I always wanted to do law at school, and I fell into the wrong crowd, took the wrong path. But I worked I had my first Saturday job in hairdressers at 11, because you could then, you can't anymore. And then I was qualified as a hairdresser at 17. You can't do that anymore either. That's 20 years. So I always earned money. So then having to study to earn money was insanity to me. Then obviously I had a family and did all of that. And I didn't realise you could do open uni and do law. So when I found out, I was like, I'm doing this. And actually, we were talking about this the other day, my partner and I, and he said, I bet you wish you'd done it sooner. And I said, I have to be honest, no, because it was never the right time for me. And had I come into this 10 years ago, I'd never be able to offer what I can now. Not in a million years. It would have been a waste of time. So, yeah, so I still got my beauty business. That's not going anywhere. But like I said, I do believe, I mean, I have the ability to find out the ins and outs of everyone's life in 30 seconds. People always feel like they can talk to me. And I think that's my USP, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when people have in their head, then you get their life story, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Goodness me, I could tell you some stories, but that's for another day.
It's funny, you know, you're talking about sort of law. I remember when I was qualifying and I wanted to do criminal law and I saw the razzle dazzle of criminal law. I thought,
oh, yeah,
the cut and thrust of it. Obviously inspired by Hollywood. And then I realized that in the reality, I'd probably be called at 3 a.m. to come down to the station to sort out somebody who glassed somebody else in a pub.
Yeah.
I'm like, did I want to do that?
It's not that glamorous. And bearing in mind, you'd probably get there and they'd probably still not even be sober enough to talk to you. And there's many reasons that anyone that does criminal law, I take my hat off to them tenfold, but it's definitely not a route for me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because family law, of course, is very, very different. And, you know, I'll always maintain that family law is the law that on the everyday affects everybody. You know, people
100%.
separate, they have children. So
100%.
it's one of those, isn't it, that everybody knows somebody who's going through stuff, somebody who's separating, somebody who's stopping people seeing their children.
Yeah. I think as well, especially nowadays, it's almost becoming the norm that families aren't staying together. Blended families, parted families it's the norm. When I was at school, I was one of the only families that was a broken family, as they would call it back then. My mum and dad were separated. Everybody else's mum and dad were not separated. Funnily enough, a lot of those people now, their mum and dads are separated. But it wasn't okay back then. You know, I'm talking 20 or more than 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It just wasn't the norm. But now, people, this whole thing as well of mothers' rights, it's now becoming it's not mothers' rights anymore. It's not a mother's God-given right that they should have their kids and that's it. Things are changing. Everything is changing, and it's about being there to support people through this transition. And that's what we do, isn't it? That's us. That's we are the core of that. We have got this. We've been the center of this, and now we're going to help everyone else get to where we are.
Yeah. What do you think is the top complaint that people have going through family courts?
Top complaint?
I know I'm putting you on the spot now.
No, I suppose the most people I'm dealing with, it's the alienation thing. Is what I'm dealing with the most at this stage. Is the honest truth. I'm dealing with, on a very heavy basis, a complaint from a person, how they feel, or actually you can quite commonly see there's alienation going on. That seems to be a huge one. That's why I did my blog on that, because I'm really experiencing, and also I've been the center again of this vile thing that's around now. It's I think that would be it, I'd say.
And guys, we shared the crap out of Jodie's blog. If you have not read Jodie's blog, seriously, that's the next thing you do. I'll put a repost and reshare it again because it's bloody awesome.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed writing it as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because one of the things that we here at Family Law Assistance, as you guys all will know, is that we like to keep things present. We like to keep things up to date, relevant. And, you know, it's not a subject that people get bored of reading because it happens all the time, doesn't it?
It does. And it's not, there's this thing, this idea that it's mainly mums that do it to dads, but actually dads can be equally as guilty, and also grandparents and friends and people around you. I mean, going back to a few weeks ago, one of my lash clients had a terrible incident with an ex, and her daughter was with us, and she was sort of saying things. I was like, no, what you don't realize. And she was like, I didn't even realize it. But that's what I'm saying. It's happening without people realizing what they're doing. So it's a very taboo subject, I think, and it's something that thankfully is being recognized more, and I just hope it gets recognized even more, because it will really, really cut down the stress of separation and family court life, let's say.
I agree, because I think by the time people only start talking about things, and listen, these terms that Jodie and I are talking about, if you know, you know, you probably wouldn't have even thought of a term of parental alienation until, guess what, you're probably on the phone to one of us usually, or you're not reading about it until it gets to that point. But you hit the nail on the head that this, you know, that throwaway comment that your friend, it was your client
said. It was
said,
one of my clients of mine, yeah.
Just off the cuff, and people don't realize, do they?
No, definitely not. And it's again, a lot of the time, I don't think things are malicious. It's just that we don't understand. And this is, you know, as well, especially with things like separation and child arrangement orders and stuff, people don't realize what it's doing to our children, to the mental health of children, when we're not thinking or putting them first. Because going back to what we just said, families don't stay together anymore. It's not uncommon to break up. It's not uncommon to your parents to separate, and we're all going through it. So it's kind of like, right, we need to think about our children in this, not us. And that's the hardest part, because when you're angry, it's not easy.
It's funny, you and I studying law, but actually when we're in that real life situation, I'll always say that most of it actually is kind of coaching, because of the emotion. Because of the emotions, it's so emotive. I mean, we put posts up here, and you know, it's a family law. You're not going to get anything more emotive than your children. So a lot of the comments and the responses that we get, good and bad, they're emotional. You found that?
This is it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely. It's just, you know, like you said, there's no one that can tell a mum especially about their children. Nobody's right about my children, and mothers, we are the worst for that. So then when you've got someone sort of trying to advise you, look, just it can go down well, it can go down not so well.
Yeah. And I got to ask, okay, because look, there are lots of other people that kind of do what we do. Obviously not at our level, bound to say that.
No.
But why did you choose to join Family Law Assistance?
Well, I've actually got a whole story, as Michaela knows this. I actually inquired of another firm to do training with them, and it was a lot less, as I explained to Michaela. I was like, no, I can do this somewhere else. And I spoke to Michaela, and everything about her, my gut told me, no, this is where you need to go. And I didn't know why at the time. I just knew that it didn't matter what happened, this was my avenue. I'm quite a spiritual person, so I go a lot with my gut feeling, throw a few cards out, ask the universe and all that. I love, you know, that's how I am. I trust my gut, and I just knew I had to go with you. And obviously I didn't know where this was going to end up then months ago, so it proved my stomach was right. So maybe another line of work, look.
I know. So if anyone needs tarot reading for the future days, Jodie's here.
Witchy poo. But yeah, it was just, I just knew.
Now you're now, well, you're part of the furniture and fittings.
Yeah, it's just all fallen into place, hasn't it, the last few weeks, apart from certain technical issues, it's nothing to do, they're out of my control, but everything else, it just falls into place. And it's the other thing is as well, when you open avenues up, like I've opened this avenue up on my social media, talking to people, it's opened up avenues for I didn't realize how many people are going through hard times. you know, it then realize, and also it's nice though, because then people think, oh, I'm not on my own. I
Yes.
thought I was on my own, but actually then they realize, no, you're not. There's always someone, and there's always someone worse off as well. So it's, yeah, but I just knew that I knew that something big was going to happen, and I'm watching it unravel. It's fun.
Do you ever think to yourself and you go, gosh darn it, I was right?
Yeah, I love that. I'm always right. I keep saying this. I'm always
I say
saying this
that
to my
to Stephen.
boyfriend, like, just give it up. I'm always right.
I say the same to Stephen.
You'd think they'd just get it in the end, but apparently not. I'm going to get a t-shirt, I think.
I'm right.
But generally I am. So
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to walk like that.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to say all the time, darling, I was right.
I know sometimes it sort of, sometimes I do things I say and I'll just be mixing something and thinking, I knew it. Because you sort of mental note it, not actually note it.
I've just got this vision now of you walking into court and going, yep, shared care.
Yeah, honest, I know, I'm right.
Yeah. So what's the future then for you, Jodie?
Oh, what's the future?
You have to
That's
ask.
quite difficult. Yeah, that's quite difficult. I slowly but surely, I do want to cut down my beauty work, and I do want to be doing this much, much, much more full time than I am. I'm really interested in divorce. Divorce really fascinates me and interests me. I don't know why. It just feels like an avenue I definitely want to grow in.
Yeah.
And obviously helping, I mean, definitely helping people see their children's stuff. That's just a given. I think this is the difference as well. The thing with family law, some people think it is only about seeing the children. They don't realise how much more we do with finances. I had a call today from someone who's like, oh, I think I need a solicitor. I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Of course you don't. I probably can do this better than any solicitor because of what I've done it. So yeah, divorce really, I definitely would love to grow that field and go through and support and help people. Yeah, and just grow.
You know,
I need to buy a house.
Well, yeah. It'll happen. You know it will.
It will. Absolutely.
But you are right. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, we talk all the time about children, and let's be honest, let's be real. You know, when we're talking about children, it is very emotive. You know, it's a thing that hits you right here. It's a thing that most people will do anything for. They'll do anything for their children. It's a thing that,
absolutely.
you know, and I guess we can't talk enough of. And I guess when we're in that realm of talking about seeing your children or being denied seeing your children or parental alienation, suddenly a bank statement doesn't seem quite so sexy.
Yeah. 100%.
But you're right. You know, you're right. You know, I mean, boy, back in the day, I know, believe it or not, I used to sit here and lecture. I was going to say do a live, but I think lecture is more realistic about statements and finances. But it's true, we do all kinds of aspects of family law. What do you think? How has it been in your experience? And just to hear from a different perspective, how has it been in the courts during COVID, during lockdown?
Well, obviously, the only court I've been into was the Royal Courts of Justice, and I've actually never been there before. And I can only imagine, I think I said this to you on Tuesday, actually, I can only imagine what it would be like compared to how it was. It was lovely for me because there was nobody there. But when everything's back to normal, whatever that is going to be, and when the courts are open, I'm actually going to go there for the day to experience it in its full working capacity. As far as dealing with hearings, though, remotely, I have to be honest, it does make it more settling for people because they're in their own surroundings. And I'm finding people are a lot easier to calm down. Yes. Although it was two very different sort of cases. When we were in the court, without a doubt, my client was 100 times more on edge than had we been at home on a Zoom or on a Teams meeting. And I do feel like I think that there's going to be a way forward. I think that the courts are going to keep it like this for family. I think they can go through things quicker. I think it's causing less conflict. And I actually think they're going to get better results. You know, if you've got a mum and a dad who just really can't bear to see each other, but you're doing it remotely or via a video, I think people are in their own comfort and they become less irrational, actually.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can't wait to go and see especially the big court like that, I do think that this is going to be the new norm, to be honest.
I agree. It's funny. I sort of did I did a live about this a while ago because I sort of was umming and ahhing, just and out loud really, about how the courts have been dealing with this. And I always thought there was pros and cons, because you do miss out. A con of it is you do miss out on that pre-court negotiations. You know, sort of speaking to the other side, seeing if we could narrow down the issues. What can we agree on? What is definitely not agreed on? But I agree, because I think, I mean, imagine taking every client to Royal Courts of Justice. I mean,
yeah, I know.
You know, it's imposing. I mean, I guess it's meant to be, but it's imposing anyway. And then you go in there, it does take your anxiety right up to here.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
definitely. But I mean, even you say about the pre-negotiations. I had a client last week. The link failed. Solicitor and I spoke on the phone, and actually we did it all without even having to go to do anything. Magistrates saw us later and could not thank us enough for what we had managed to do out of the courtroom. Again, I had another client early on in lockdown, and just by me and there at the other side, they had a Mackenzie friend support. We conversed, we spoke. By the time we even got to the call, we knew what we were going in for. And so actually, if everyone's willing to just talk, communication is key, as they say, you can still do that. And again, it knocks that anxiety out, because it means the other person's not like, what they're going to say, you're not chucked with anything in the courtroom that could be unsettling, you know, for any parent. You know, I have witnessed cases go that I've been chucked in the end of go not very pleasant. And I actually really do believe that if a lot of it was done remotely, a lot of it wouldn't have happened. And that's only from what I've experienced, from what I've read over the last even 6 months. So I actually, a part of me does hope to some extent that a chunk of it is done online.
And the other thing as well is that it takes away the borders, doesn't it? And I mean, geographically, you know,
that's right.
Officially, technically, you could be helping somebody in Newcastle.
I can help anyone, anywhere.
Yeah.
And I can help 2 people in one day. If it came to it, you know, you can be supportive to someone. If you're traveling, you're spread thin. And if you're not, you're solely able to give that person your time.
Yeah. So tell everyone where you're based at the moment, Jodie.
I'm based in Hemel Hempstead in Hertfordshire. But again, as Michaela said, willing to travel. And at the moment, there's no boundaries. There's no boundaries.
It's kind of freeing, isn't it? Because I've noticed that, you know, they're even getting judges in from other areas to deal with the backlog of cases.
Yeah. And I think this is a nice thing as well. People aren't waiting so long. It's going to mean the timing, you know, you're not seeing your son or your daughter for kind of 6 weeks, or, you know, as COVID might have caused issues. But all of a sudden now they can do like 15, 20 hearings in no time at all, whereas before it was 5. I mean, I'm not saying definite numbers, I'm just for perspective. So it means that things are going to get dealt with a hell of a lot quicker. And that means people are going to see their parents or see their grandparents or see their children or get their divorce through a little bit quicker, because, you know, sometimes people need that finalization to move on. It means that we can do our job so much more effectively, because when it's not dead time, is it?
No. And you've experienced it yourself. So you've experienced, I mean, who wants to sit around for hours? I always laugh because, you know, those TV dramas, they never show that bit, you know.
No, when you're sat there for 2 hours rocking.
They show it as in and out in 2 seconds. I'm thinking, hang on, if that was a real court hearing, you wouldn't be seen till the afternoon.
No, absolutely. And if they're going to lunch at 10 to 12, they're going to lunch at 10 to 12. Yes. And you're sat there, and then you've got, and it's definitely, it works better for everyone. So
Yeah, I agree. So I'm gonna drop Jodie's links and contact deets. I mean, I've been like sharing the heck about it anyway, because if you want Jodie, okay, to be assisting you at your court hearing, you want to snap her up quick, okay? Because
Yes, we're very busy.
really
Next couple of
busy.
weeks, yeah.
Yeah, really busy. I'm sure I said to you, but I think after sort of you saying you were going to Royal Courts of Justice, I think on that afternoon you had something like 292 views.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
I actually think it was slightly more than that. It was
I'm
about
sure it was.
320. Yeah, 320. I was
That's
like,
it.
oh, yeah,
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 exactly. So, guys and girls, if you want Jodie to help you, she's got your back, as we all do
yeah,
here at the Family Law Assistance family. And it really is a family environment.
yeah. It really is.
I've always maintained that I want that community. And guys, some of you have been with us for years. So for all of you OG subscribers, this is for you. But generally speaking, any comments, shove them down in the comments below. We'll be around answering them. If you want Jodie, snap this girl up really fast. Jodie, thank you so much.
Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
It is always a pleasure. And guys, you'll be seeing a lot more of Jodie in the coming future. All right, guys.
Definitely.
That's a wrap.
Thanks, Michaela. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.